Hi, my name is Ashley Sweeney and I'm a registered dietitian. Today I want to tell you a little bit about my journey with my adrenal fatigue. I've been sharing a lot about it on social media and on Instagram, so I get a lot of questions about it. And so today I hope to kind of clear the air on what that is and what I'm doing to help in my journey and hopefully help some of you if you may be struggling with this also. I use the quotations around the term adrenal fatigue because it's not really a scientific term. There's no medical diagnosis. It's not really the correct term. So the correct term is HPA axis dysregulation, and I'll explain what that means. But the adrenals are these little glands in our bodies that produce hormones. They're located by our kidneys, actually on top of our kidneys, but they get signals from other parts of our brain and other organs. The adrenal glands are responsible for a lot of things in our body, and they're very important. They're responsible for producing a lot of our hormones like cortisol and our sex hormones and adrenaline, and they help manage blood sugars, and they do a lot of important things in our body. But they don't really fatigue. The body gets overstressed and the adrenal glands stop producing the hormones that they're supposed to be producing, and they stop communicating with the other organs and the other parts of the body that they're supposed to be communicating with. So the correct term is HPA axis dysregulation. So it's the communication and the signals between those three parts. The H stands for hypothalamus, which is a part in your brain that sends signaling off to other parts of your body, including the adrenals. The P is for the pituitary gland. It's helpful for hormone production. And the third one is the adrenal glands, which I explained. And then the communication and the signaling between the three of those things gets off. So they're not doing the things they're supposed to be doing in order to help our hormones and help regulate different parts of our body. So that system is off and broken. So it's not just the adrenals, there's a whole communication signals and a whole network of parts of our body that are kind of off. So how do you know that you have this, or how do you know that something's off for you? For me, what happened was actually at first not a lot felt very different. I'm somebody who has had a lot of stress in their life and kind of always dealt at like a high stress level. Just kind of always go. Never really stopping to sleep, never really taking as much care of myself as I did of everybody else. I just kind of lived with a lot of high stress, and that's just how life was. And kind of what happened for me was there was no major moment, like aha moment, that I had HPA axis dysregulation. What happened was I got to the point where I realized some things were off. I was having to drink literally 8 to 10 cups of coffee a day, if not more, just to function. And then I would still have another cup, or I would have a cup of coffee coming home from work in order to have energy for dinner and stuff like that with my kids. I have 2 girls. And then I would still just crash it. I could drink coffee up until 8 o'clock at night to get through bedtime and still go to bed and just crash out through the night. And we still have a toddler who gets up in the middle of the night to go potty, and so I'm still not sleeping through the night after almost 4 years. So, sleep plays into this also. But I realized my coffee intake was getting a little out of control. I also had never had as much anxiety as I was experiencing. Pretty bad and pretty scary, to the point where it's scary for myself as somebody who didn't really experience that before. It got pretty severe for me within the last maybe 6 months, and that's not normal for me. That's not healthy. And I knew that's not how things should be. I was becoming very irritable. Just every little thing was throwing me off. I was having a hard time focusing, and I also knew my hormones were out of whack, and I knew things just weren't right because, again, things have been kind of off for the last, 5 years, because I've had 2 babies, 2 miscarriages, breastfed each baby for about a year. Your hormones get out of whack. That stuff just does stuff to your body, women. So after I had stopped breastfeeding and been done breastfeeding for a while, and things were starting to feel normal again in terms of just consistency and regularity, but at the same time, things weren't the same as they were pre-baby. But pre-baby, I never had cramping, never had headaches, PMS-like symptoms. That stuff's not normal. That stuff's not healthy. I knew that because I knew I never experienced that before. And so I knew that I needed something to kind of just get a baseline, see where I'm at, because I know that with my hormones wasn't right. The way I was feeling wasn't right with all the anxiety. All the coffee was not healthy. There were a lot of things that had gotten to the point where I'm like, this is kind of out of control and I know this isn't right. So what I did was I consulted the experts. This is an area that I hadn't had a ton of experience before, and until recently somewhere I've really studied up on hard. But what I did was I took a Dutch test. It's called Dried Urine Test Comprehensive Hormones. It is something most doctors won't order. I actually took my results to my primary care doctor, who had no idea what to do with it, no idea what it meant. I had to explain to him some things about it. Unless you're seeing an integrative or functional doctor, most of the times your doctor really won't know what to do with it. It's not conventional medicine, it's not conventional nutrition. It takes somebody who's gone above and beyond and really practiced functional nutrition, or like I said, integrative nutrition. So some specialists will do these types of tests with you, otherwise it's out of pocket, and it's finding a dietitian like the one I worked with, or myself. Now I'm a provider, so I can run these tests, and I'm doing them for some people. But dietitians can also run these tests. Now I'll show you some of my results, because what it does is it breaks down your hormones, it breaks down your various levels, it breaks down some nutrition and some nutrients, some of your labs and your nutrients. So what it does is it tests your hormone levels. It tests them throughout the full 24 hours, so you get a really great sample, and you do it at a certain time in the month. That's going to be most accurate. And it's very eye-opening. And what it showed for me was my adrenals are completely shot. They weren't working. Zip at all. Let me show you something. What I can show you here. All right. This is how your normal cortisol production should go throughout the day. Throughout the day, you should wake up. Your body should produce some cortisol, help you wake up. And at nighttime, it kind of slowly steadies, and then you go back to sleep, and your whole circadian rhythm helps you get into a sleep, cycle. Here's what mine was doing. You can see mine is in red. It's below, it's way low. It's average, it's way down there. It's saying nothing. Your body is not doing any cortisol. Nothing. That's something that your adrenals produce. So my adrenals were not producing any energy hormones, basically. I was dead. Not dead, but it makes sense why I was literally surviving off the coffee I was drinking. That's the only way I had any energy, was from that coffee. So cutting coffee was one of the first things I had to do, because I have to get my body to start producing that on its own, instead of falsifying it with coffee and giving it spikes, which some people could do sugar. Other things can give you a pretend spike of energy. Here's another picture of it too. Kind of shows the whole process and your levels and how they compare and where everything's at. So mine were low. My hormones were out of whack too. Some things that were kind of scary to me as a 30-year-old, things that were leading towards signs of premenopause way early. So things that definitely scared me, gave me the encouragement to make changes, right? Because sometimes we need to see things on paper like this to be like, oh shit, things gotta change. So what did I do? Oh, I'll have to do part 2, because this test is really so comprehensive. There's a lot of information it shows you, including some vitamin markers, glutathione, dopamine, serotonin, some things that were probably helping or contributing to my anxiety levels, some of my deficiencies in some vitamins. So this test is very, very important, very interesting. And so I've done a lot of things since.